All right, so in our last explainer, we watched this huge asteroid just slam into the Earth, right? And just like that, bye-bye dinosaurs. It was a total catastrophe for them, but for us, well, believe it or not, that was our big break. It was the golden opportunity we were waiting for. Now, I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. If the dinosaurs had stuck around, we'd probably still be these tiny little mouse-like things just scurrying around, trying not to become a T-Rex's afternoon snack. Instead of scrolling on our phones, we'd be, well, hiding. That cosmic reset button gave us a chance to step out of the shadows. And that's the incredible story we're diving into today. Our journey from a tiny survivor to, well, us. Okay, so picture this. The dinosaurs are gone. The world is quiet. It's kind of empty, and it's starting to cool down. So the big question is, what happens now? Who's going to step up and fill that massive void? And things started changing, like really fast. I mean, with all those giant predators out of the picture, our little mammal ancestors could finally come out and play. They started thriving, getting bigger, getting smarter. And then, around 55 million years ago, boom, the first primates show up. Yep, that's our extended family, the group that leads to monkeys, apes, and eventually to humans. They were perfectly built for life in the trees, with hands that could grab branches and eyes facing forward, which is amazing for judging distances. It was the perfect toolkit for their world. So life in the trees was pretty sweet, but evolution never just stops. There was a huge change coming. The climate itself was about to shift in a massive way, and it was going to force our ancestors right out of their cozy treetop homes and down onto the ground. And this was one of the biggest turning points in our entire history. So what happened? Well, the climate in Africa got a lot drier, and those lush, dense forests, they started to shrink. And in their place, these wide open grasslands, savannas. All of a sudden, there were no trees to hide in. The old rulebook for survival, it got thrown right out the window. This new open world demanded a totally new way of living. And the solution they came up with was, honestly, it was simple but revolutionary. They just stood up. Walking on 2 feet, what we call bipedalism, it was a total game changer. Why? Well, for one, you can see over the tall grass, right? You can spot any predators coming your way. But the real magic was what it did for their hands. For the very first time, hands weren't just for climbing anymore. They were free to carry food, to hold on to their young, and, as we'll see, to start making the very first tools. And this is where the story really starts to pick up speed. See, once your hands are free, you can start getting creative. An early human ancestor, Homo erectus, figured out 2 things that would basically light a fire under our evolution and send us down a path that no other animal on Earth has ever followed. Okay, so mastering fire. This was everything. You see, cooking your food completely changes the game. Think about it. Raw food is really tough for your body to break down, and you don't get that much energy from it. But when you cook it, bam, you unlock way more calories, way more nutrients. All that extra energy that our bodies used to spend just trying to digest stuff, well, now it had somewhere else to go. And where did it go? Straight to our brains. This was like rocket fuel for our minds, letting them get bigger, more complex, and a whole lot smarter. So, now we've got bigger brains and we're getting way better at making tools. Our own species, Homo Sapiens, is on the scene, and just in time for the ultimate final exam, the Ice Age. The whole world got plunged into this incredibly harsh, cold period. And to survive this, you needed more than just a sharp rock. You needed to work together. You needed a plan. You needed culture. Yeah, in this frozen world, going it alone was basically a death sentence. So humans learned to band together, to live and hunt in organized groups. They figured out how to coordinate and take down these massive animals, like the woolly mammoth. And they used everything. The meat was food, obviously. The thick hides became warm clothing and shelter. Even the bones got turned into tools or the frames for their homes. Nothing at all went to waste. And then something else happened. About 40,000 years ago, deep inside these dark, hidden caves, a totally new kind of spark ignited in the human mind. Our ancestors started painting on the walls. And look, these weren't just random drawings. These were stories. They were symbols. Maybe they were even spiritual beliefs, painted by the flickering light of a torch. This, combined with more complex language, was the real beginning of culture. It was the moment we started sharing abstract ideas, passing down knowledge, and building a sense of who we are. Okay, so for millions of years, humanity had been on the move. We were nomads, constantly wandering, following the herds, following the seasons. But then, around 10,000 years ago, one simple revolutionary discovery would bring all of that to an end and basically build the foundation for the world we live in today. Humans discovered agriculture, and it must have seemed like actual magic. You put a tiny seed in the ground, and food grows out of it. I mean, think about how wild that is. Why would you spend your whole life chasing after your food when you can just grow it right outside your door? This was it. For the first time ever, we could stop wandering and start building permanent homes. And this whole farming revolution just exploded in a place called Mesopotamia. Suddenly, you have a stable supply of food. That means villages can grow bigger and bigger, becoming the world's very first cities. And to manage all these people living together, we had to invent stuff. We invented writing to keep records. We invented laws to create order. We invented governments to organize the whole shebang. And right there, that's the moment recorded history officially begins. It's just an incredible thought when you stop and think about it, isn't it? Our entire journey as a species started with one simple idea. How can I make this rock sharper so I can cut meat? That same impulse, that drive to innovate, to solve problems, is a direct line to the crazy complex technology that you're probably holding in your hand right this second. So, let me ask you a question, a little thought experiment for you. If we could magically transport you back to the Ice Age, right now, with only the skills you currently have, how do you think you'd do? Would you be out there, a master mammoth hunter? Or, let's be honest, would you be the first one to get trampled? Seriously, let us know your survival plan in the comments below. It's just wild to realize that in what's really just a tiny blip of cosmic time, we've gone from surviving the Ice Age to building civilizations. Thank you for joining me for this part of the story. And be sure to follow the Royaudiate channel so you don't miss the final part of our journey, where we're going to explore what might come next.